Live from the Coachella Valley. Time for another hour of the desert scene. Art exhibitions to modernism. Music festivals to live theater. Big screen, little screen, and very little screen. This is the Culture Corner with Bonnie Gilgallon and Brayan Mendoza. Here's Bonnie and Brayan on iHub Radio.
And welcome to the Culture Corner. We got lots to talk about today. Some great guests coming up, and so a lot of news. But hey, Brayan, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Good. But our news starts with some sad stuff because we had 3 very well-known people pass away in the last 3 or 4 days. I guess it is.
I think so. I would say not even more than 3 days.
Yesterday was Larry McMurty. I think
Larry McMurty died yesterday. He is He's written a lot of successful books. He's written The Last Picture Show, Terms of Endearment, Lonesome Dove, and accumulating all this together, the movies based on his works have been nominated for 34 Academy Awards.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
And 13 wins.
Wow.
And he actually adapted the screenplay to Brokeback Mountain, and he won an Oscar for that. Mm-hmm. So Larry McMurty, not only his own legacy as a novelist, he also created this platform for people to feel inspired and actually make great movies out of him too. So I always thought of myself as like a secret fan because I never really I guess I've read his work. Like I read Terms of Endearment and I read parts of Lonesome Dove. I should read more of that to be honest. But I'm more familiar with the movies that were made out of it. He tells really good stories. If they're accurate to his books, they're really good stories.
Yeah. I didn't realize I mean, Lonesome Dove is what jumped out right away, but I didn't realize I'd forgotten some of those other things that he did as well.
And Lonesome Dove was actually adapted into a miniseries. The book itself had won a Pulitzer Prize for writing, and the miniseries had earned 18 Emmy nominations, winning 7. So
Robert Duvall, there were a lot of big names in that. Pretty big names. I think Angelica Houston, wasn't she in that? I think
it was Tommy Lee Jones. Robert Duvall, and I think it was Angelica Houston.
I think she was in it. I'm pretty sure.
James Stewart, Henry Fonda, Angelica Houston, Diane Lane.
Good, really good cast.
And it's one of those westerns where, from what I've read, it feels like one of those books that pioneered the Western genre, and that, in my opinion, also is accessible to people who don't like Westerns. Like, if you're not a Western fan, it has its own dynamic.
There's enough drama other than just being a Western,
And I think it's wonderful. So there's some fan facts about him right there, and then let's move on to, Jessica Walter.
That's sad. I liked her a lot.
Jessica Walter is one of those actresses that it's interesting watching her career because she started off in movies like Play Misty for Me, and now she became an icon on Arrested Development and Archer, and she's one of those actresses that I think got the lucky part of their career where, as they got older, they got more appreciated instead of fading away, which is that's a conversation about aging in Hollywood, especially if you're a woman, and so she's lucky in that she actually got more love towards the end.
And Eric, my partner, he's a big Archer fan. He kind of got me a little bit into Archer, and I really like it. It's a fun show, and Jessica was a big part of that. Yeah.
And one fun fact about Jessica Walter that not a lot of people know, when there was this movie called Child's Play, which is a movie about the killer doll Chucky. So Brad Dourif played Chucky as a human, and then he transferred his soul onto the body of a doll. It's very convoluted, but you love it.
Okay.
It's one of those things where when Chucky, the actual Chucky doll, when he talked, it wasn't going to have Brad Dourif's voice. It had Jessica Walter's voice.
I did not know that.
And so
wow.
So Jessica Walter
was the voice of Chucky
because Don Mancini, the writer of Chucky, said he wanted to have a woman's voice playing Chucky.
Kind of makes it creepier in sort of in a way.
Yeah, and he had seen The Exorcist, and he thought, if a woman's voice can be that scary, then I think we can have one for Chucky. And so I think he might have seen Play Misty for Me, which was a horror film in itself.
And just thought Jessica would be great as Chucky.
And it was one of those things where when it got shown at the test screening, one of the complaints was unfortunately about Jessica Walter's voice, that it was just a bit jarring, that maybe it just didn't work out. And they had to, and then they changed it to
Change it.
Brad Dourif, and now it's its
Okay.
own thing. But I've always been curious about the Jessica Walter version of Child's Play.
Did you see that? I've never seen it.
I've never seen it because
Okay.
like it's very inaccessible. It's considered lost media, meaning that we know it exists
Somewhere out there.
Out there.
Yeah.
but it just turns out that it's very hard to find. So I'm very curious to see if one day that'll come out, because I think a lot of people are just curious about stuff like that, and maybe.
Maybe you can check, maybe even on a break. I believe she did some stage. I think she might have even done some Broadway. I want to say that she might have done a revival of either Barefoot in the Park or Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. I know she did some stage somewhere along the line.
I actually have it pulled up for you.
Okay.
She's done some revivals of Steel Magnolias.
Okay.
She also did Anything Goes, A Connecticut Yankee, Royal Family. So she was nominated for a Tony, but I think she's more famous for her television work and her film work. And she actually played the Shirley MacLaine role in Steel Magnolias.
Okay.
So I forget what her character's name, Weezer or something.
Weezer. Yeah.
And I can see that. I could actually see that. So it's a bit of a shame that maybe I didn't catch her, but I actually thought it made a lot of sense. But in my recommendation for, if you're interested in Jessica Walter's work, if you can't sit through a show, which I understand, but you got the time now.
Yeah, most people do.
If you want to watch one thing, play Misty for me.
Yeah.
Her role in that one is the woman with borderline personality disorder who becomes infatuated with a disc jockey.
Yeah.
Pretty good performance. And
I saw that years and years and years ago, but I'd like to see it again. It's been so long.
I have it on DVD. I should lend it to you one of these days.
Okay, sure.
I'll lend it to you. And she received a Golden Globe nomination for this, and she was considered unnervingly effective by Roger Ebert. So I think it's one of those performances that maybe I'm going to be honest, maybe got buried because later on the next decade we had movies about, I hate to use the term, obsessed women.
Crazy women obsessed. Yeah.
So movies like Fatal Attraction and Single White Female, because they're a little bit more flamboyant.
Yeah, and hers was maybe a little bit more understated, perhaps.
Understated, or maybe it just came out at the wrong time. Because in the 70s, I think people weren't entirely sure what to make of that.
I think you're right.
And I think that movies like Fatal Attraction took away some of it. But you know what? Fatal Attraction is great too. Not going to disparage that. But if you haven't had the chance, go watch Play Misty for me. And I think it also predated the obsessed fan storylines in horror films, because it is about an obsessed female fan.
And there have been a lot of those too.
Oh,
yeah.
Certainly, like Misery and all that.
Yeah.
And now to our third death.
Yeah.
George Segal.
Segal, yeah.
Oh, I don't know why I said Segal.
Yeah, he's had a really long career. Yeah.
And he's been nominated for an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. And that's one of those movies that you have to see once in your life.
Yeah.
And it's also one of those plays where I think it's a great play. But
it is a great play.
But for me, it's one of those things where, like, when I see it on stage, I feel bad saying this. No matter how talented the actors are, I can't help but see the people
Elizabeth
from the movie.
Taylor,
Elizabeth Taylor,
Robert
Montgomery, and George Segal. Like, I see those people on stage, and it's one of those things where, like, he's really good in it, and it's a really good dramatic role. But I think people mostly know him for his comedic roles on Just Shoot Me and as the Pop from the Goldbergs, Pops from the Goldbergs, and he was also an accomplished banjo player. He released 3 albums, and he actually has played the instrument in a couple movies and a couple late night shows, so you might be able to catch a glimpse of him there.
Yeah.
And other movies that he was in are For the Boys, Flirting with Disaster, and the King Rat, Ship of Fools. So those movies, but I think his best movie is Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. What did you ever see any of his other roles in comedy, or just what do you know him from?
Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, I know I've seen him in a couple comedies. I just couldn't tell you what. I mean, I know I've seen him a number of times in things. Just trying to think. Did he ever do any Neil Simon any Neil. I mean, some Neil Simon stuff has been made into movies like Plaza Suite or something like that. I know I've seen him in a couple comedies. I just can't remember what the names are.
That's a good question. Like the thing is that I mostly know him only for like The Owl and the Pussycat with Barbara Streisand.
Okay, that I saw that. That may be one of them. That one of the ones I'm thinking.
That's one of the ones I definitely think about. And then Look Who's Talking Now, and movies like that. And he's also done some theater work too, but it's very like sparse. Like he did Requiem for a Heavyweight, Art, Ride of a Simple Man. So these plays aren't exactly like. I mean, I'm sure someone in the audience listening will be like, "But I know those plays."
Yeah, but not the ones people think of the top of their head.
Not like a Steel
Death
Bang.
of a Salesman or something. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's definitely not. But I mean, he's had a pretty surprisingly. I think all these people surprisingly have had a bigger impact than we anticipate. Like Jessica Walter being able to play the type of characters she plays, which are not at all like conventional female characters on Hollywood, like playing an obsessed fan or playing a very outspoken, witty mother. Yeah. And George Segal being able to play like the fact that George Segal is not exactly like Segal. Segal. Like
it's because you're thinking of the other guy. What's his name? The tough guy.
Steven Seagal.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah.
Segal. Yeah. Like the thing about Segal is that like he was actually also one of the first American actors to rise to leading man status without having to change his Jewish last name. Like he actually has been considered a pioneer for Jewish actors because
I didn't know that. Okay.
Because he didn't have to change it. Okay. So like it's weird how like a lot of these people, you know, they made an impact, but you don't realize it until they're dead. And then Larry McMurty, like, it's one of those things where like you don't realize how many good books he's written until you hear about them.
Did he just did the adaptation of Brokeback Mountain, or did he write that?
Brokeback Mountain was originally written by someone else. Okay. Like he actually Annie Plucks. Okay. It was a short story, and he adapted it, and he won an Oscar.
Okay.
So there are pictures of him with like an Oscar and everything, and you know, even adapting Brokeback Mountain and writing that dialogue, that's still something.
Oh, sure. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
And I saw Brokeback Mountain pretty recently, and it was a conversation that someone had was, we have so many movies about gay men. Do we need to look at that one again? And I never like those conversations because I don't believe in erasing film history or pretending that the older films aren't relevant anymore.
Well, it was pretty groundbreaking at the time.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, at the time, you know, people were like, wow, okay. I mean, because it was a big mainstream film, and, you know, I thought it was pretty groundbreaking at the time.
And I think so, too. And funny enough, all of these three have contributed in great groundbreaking works,
and very versatile. They've all done a number of different kinds of things, which is anyway, rest in peace.
Rest in peace. All of them wonderful creators in their own sense.
And left a footprint larger than their own, which you always want to do. All right, we're going to be back with much more on the Culture Corner in just a moment.
You're listening to Bonnie Gilgallon and Brayan Mendoza, talking arts and entertainment on iHub Radio's The Culture Corner. Here are Bonnie and Brayan.
Hey, welcome back to The Culture Corner. For this segment, we're going to try something a little differently. We played around with music, and now we decided, why don't we share with you a piece of Bernadette Peters' history that some people may not know outside of people who watch Animaniacs. Animaniacs was a television show from the 90s that revolved around cartoon characters having variety skits and all that. And Bernadette Peters played a cat that was a stray cat that always wanted to find a place called home. And so for this song, this is the first song she played on Animaniacs. It's called Humans Ain't What They Seem to Be.
What difference does it make? Soon we'll be sleeping the big sleep.
I could use a nap.
They're gonna gas us, you buffoon. We'll be dead.
I don't think I'm that tired.
You're not a very smart cat, are you, Runt?
Nope.
At least you're honest. Oh, what's a human good for anyway?
They pet you when you're sad.
They smack you when you're bad.
When you're hungry, they definitely feed you.
Yeah, on vacations they leave you with hardly no food. Ring a bell, dude? Exactly, my point. Humans ain't what they seem to be. They don't mean that much to me. No, not much at all. When you're little and tiny, they pet your cute hiney. But then when you grow, it's a simple no-show. It's shoo-shoo off this, and don't you dare scratch on that. If they call you at all, it's always dumb cat. Humans ain't what they seem to be. They don't mean that much to me. No, not much at all. But when it's all dark and quiet, I try hard to fight it. But I dream of home that I won't have to roam. Someone to feed me and put me to bed, and scratch me just so on top of my head. But I ain't gonna love them, not gonna answer that call, 'cause humans don't mean that much to me. No, not much at all.
It's so cute. It's such a cute song. And Brayan, and I love Bernadette Peters. I've been a big Bernadette Peters fan for years, but I didn't know that she had done this, and Brayan let me know. But yeah, really, really cute song. And of course, Bernadette Peters, I've always thought has a terrific voice. And the one thing that she does, we were talking earlier, is as a singer myself, she, the transition between head voice and chest voice and pretty notes and sort of character notes, she does really well. And that can be challenging to do. So.
And I think in this song, I think for me, the reason why I connect so much with Bernadette Peters in this role is just that it's a good performance, and you hear the music and you can imagine that cat singing how she wants a home and everything. You get everything there. And I also think the writing too is really good for her, because on the show there's a lot of people who are voice actors that can just happen to sing really well, but with her, she sticks out on that show because she's an actress that's really amazing at singing and very emotive. And for me, for those of you who don't know, she was on one season as a regular of Animaniacs. It's again a show about cartoon characters.
And tell them what happened, why she was only on one season.
So one of the things that's the creator didn't really confirm, but it's something that a lot of people have said. It was expensive to keep flying her out from New York to Los Angeles, and also because they felt that the skits themselves were too depressing. The rest of the show, if you haven't seen it, is a lot of wacky comedy,
cartoony kind of stuff.
And as you can tell on here, it's not wacky. It's emotional, emotionally cathartic music. And one of the things that her skits just, they didn't land well in the comedy. They were more about a dog and a cat, and she plays the cat.
So it kind of brought it down a little too much, or maybe they thought.
Yeah, it brought it up down so much that they even had an episode where the character Rita, who Bernadette Peters plays, Rita and her friend Runt, they go to Nazi Germany to rescue a Jewish girl.
Wow.
And that's like, and it was surprising because it was in good taste. Don't get me wrong, but it was one of those things where the previous skit was characters playing on the piano and having fun.
Jump from that to go into Nazi Germany, it was kind of jarring, and
it was serious too. Like I think in the songs that I sent you, it's the one where they sing about always being together, and it always surprised me about how far they went down the rabbit hole of being serious with Bernadette Peters. And I guess because if you have that good of an actress, you would want to go that serious.
They wanted to use her strengths in whatever way they could.
But one of the things that I like about the show is that they kept bringing her back after season 1 for like little cameos. But I noticed that they didn't give her many big roles, and when Animaniacs got a movie, they made her a supporting singer, which to me is kind of jarring. It's like when you have Bernadette Peters, my first thought isn't background singer. It's front and center.
Yeah. But that was terrific. I mean, she just again goes to show you how talented. I mean, she started on Broadway. She's always been a singer Broadway, but she's done some straight television stuff. She's done guest roles on, I think, West Wing or one of those legal shows. So she's done some straight acting too, and very versatile. Yes. Very versatile. Yeah.
And I wanted to say, like, of those skits, what did you think of the show, the animation and how it fits with her voice?
I thought it was great. Yeah, it was adorable. Yeah,
I think it's adorable too.
Absolutely.
And be sure to support Broadway Barks, because occasionally she does do stuff with them, which is a Broadway performers
to support animals.
Yeah. So definitely consider that, because she's very proud of this role and she often brings it up.
Yeah, super. All right, we'll be back with Doug Graham talking about some great show he's going to do tomorrow night at Frankie's.
The curtain rises on local and regional arts and entertainment. From music to theater, films to fine art, it's the Culture Corner. Get connected. Call 760-544-TALK. That's 760-544-8255. Here's Bonnie and Brian on iHub Radio.
And we're back on the Culture Corner, and I'm really happy to be joined now by a friend of mine and an amazingly talented guy, a singer, actor, dancer, dance teacher, choreographer, Doug Graham, who is doing a live stream from Frankie's Back Room this Saturday night at 5 o'clock. Hey, Doug, how are you?
Hey, Rosemary. Bonnie.
Yeah, I just did.
Was such an awesome show you did there.
Thank you. It's fun. I feel a connection with Rosemary. But yeah, Frank, we're so, I'm so proud of Frankie and Luca. They've been doing these live streams since almost from the beginning. I think back it was April, I think. And I think Eric and I did the first one, and then Denise Motto. And now they do them Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, every week, 5 o'clock, featuring a different singer in town. And it's just 5 songs. It's a short little half-hour thing. And it's a great way to support musicians in town, give them a place to perform in the middle of all this craziness, other than their living rooms, which is fine. Also promotes Project Bread for Musicians, which is a wonderful program that Hope Diamond came up with Frankie. And because so many musicians in the desert have been out of work for a year or more, they came up with this little thing. So you can bring a gift card from Vons or Stater Brothers or wherever, put it in the box, and you get a free loaf of Frankie's bread. And that way musicians who are really having a tough time can stop by Frankie's and pick up a gift card, and it helps keep them going. So you've done a couple of these. Yeah, this
will be my third one coming up. And you're right. This is a gift for the musicians, singers, entertainers here, but for giving them money and bread, but for us to be up there and perform.
Yeah.
You kind of forget until you can't just how powerful it is to be able to share the gifts that we've been given and get up there and pretend that everything's okay, and even if it's not, you sing about it. That's the beauty of it. Yeah, it was a real timely thing they came up with. It's still wonderful. It's still happening.
Yeah, and what's great about Frankie's Back Room is the back room, and they have this beautiful blue curtain with the sign, and the lights. It looks so beautiful. I mean, it's. I know a lot of people have done live streams, and I've done a couple from their living rooms, which is fine. But doing it at Frankie's with this beautiful blue curtain, it just makes you seem like you're on a big Broadway stage or Vegas stage, and it's a different ambiance, and it just really
classy. It's like the Metropolitan Room in New York. It really has some class to it. And, it's probably not going to be too much longer because they can have 25% capacity once we hit Orange.
Yeah.
So maybe you'll even have some mini audiences going on in there. I don't know, but
that would be great. So do you have a theme for your show this Saturday?
I don't. What I do have that's new is a new accompanist who's in town.
Oh, yeah?
Note, because we've just lost our dear Joel.
I know, he's moving away.
Yeah, he didn't pass away. He moved away.
Yeah.
But this guy, my steady gig right now, which I adore, is a weekly church singing gig of a quartet at the St. Paul's in the Desert.
Okay.
And I'm the tenor there. But most people don't know this because they think that's just Broadway. Choral music for me has been equal parts passion. to be able to do this and get paid really well and just do what I love to do and keep my voice in shape. I'm singing better than I ever have. So
excellent.
You know,
Now,
I'm real blessed. So
who
for
is
the theme, it's just eclectic. I'm doing the full range from American Songbook to, of course, Broadway, a more just like cabaret song, and even a song from a movie. So it kind of runs the whole gamut.
So tell me, who's this new pianist in town?
His name is Philip Smith.
Okay.
And he's basically the organist, choir conductor for the church. And I know he's brilliant. He's a genius at what he does. And I said, "Do you ever play a company?" He goes, "Of course, I've done that for decades." So as soon as I started working with him, I was like, oh gosh, you're going to work like a lot.
Excellent. Well, that's good to know. That's good to know because we need some more great accompanist because sometimes they all get busy and then they get booked up. So
all the good ones are always working.
Yep.
That's it.
So now are you doing right now, I think, occasional online like dance classes or workout classes online?
I have a weekly dance class every Saturday tomorrow at 9:30 our time. And it's about an hour, 15-minute class. And, it's fun to teach all over the country. I even had some from Austria for a little while there. But it's kind of a basic-ish because it's catered towards people of a certain age, which we are, damn it. And so it's not too difficult. You should have had some dance training, probably it's like an advanced beginner level. And then I usually teach something from an original Broadway show or somebody's style like Bob Fosse or Jack Cole.
Okay.
All the class. So it starts off with a really good, solid core stretching warm-up that's set. So every time you do it every week, you kind of get it even better. And then I throw in a combination to learn at the end. And so kind of just throw it all in the mix.
Excellent.
A lot of stretching, a lot of core. Yeah, so it's really good.
Well,
workout.
I know because I've seen you in person, but I've also seen a lot of pictures on. You are in amazing shape. I mean, I know you're in your 60s and you look fabulous. So what's the key for that?
You know what? I've had PACTS for myself that have gone by the wayside, akin to New Year's resolutions, but I remember I was in the quad of University of Delaware with my partner Terry at the time, and we were probably 20, and we said to each other, let's make a deal that we will never let ourselves ever get out of shape. Now, of course, mind you, I've had some very dire health situations in my life. Of course, those times when I wasn't, but that made me even work harder to get back and to just make sure life was lived for the fullest. So I take a lot of focus on making sure that this shell that we walk around in, is taken care of. And that includes everything from exercise to taking care of the mind. Learn crucial, especially for our age, because we fire like twice as many brain cells when we learn something new, no matter how little it is. So to keep learning and your connection to whatever your connection is, your heart, whatever. And
you
it seemed to have worked.
And I think you hike every morning, don't you? Do you get up every morning and go hiking?
No. I was kind of going crazy when the pandemic started. I was doing it a lot, but now it's about twice a week. And I challenge myself at the end of the day, actually at the end of the week. So on Sunday is going to be my solo hike, which I love. At the top of the Lichen Trail, it's my getaway solo time for me and commune with what is, and I get a lot of clarity from that kind of thing. So there's so much in the city, Bonnie, as you know. It's this place that's just magical if you know what to tap into,
Yeah, and now, but you do a lot of weight training too, though.
Yeah, I should just set up a tent at World Gym. I'm there daily. I find an excuse if not, and I can use actually the aerobic room. Thank goodness is open and there's nobody there, so I can slip my mask off and work on dance and just things to share. But it's daily. It's weight training and stretching always at the end, and occasional yoga classes.
And tell me about your vocal workout. Are you somebody that vocalizes every day, even if you don't have something coming up?
I do, and it's because I have this church gig, and like I said, voices say, but I have voice students too. So as well as my dance class, I have private voice students, and I use a very powerful technique that actually it treats your voice like a gym workout. So I have very specific exercises that are geared towards using the muscles that are used for breathing and resonating. And so it's a very powerful technique that's been passed down from, many generations from my teacher.
And tell me, I always like to ask this of performers, as I'm one too, but singers in particular. When you go to a show or a performance or a cabaret show, what have you, a solo show, and you go to see other singers, what do you like to see or hear? What moves it? What makes it a good show for you?
That's such a great question. For me, I didn't discover cabaret until I lived in L.A. I started going to the Genius for open mic. And then I thought, it's always been theater, big shows and the intimacy of this. So when I really can hear someone's honest story, that really moves me. And even if it's like what you did with Rosemary, it wasn't your story, but you created a very intimate connection with her. So I love those intimate moments where I can really see the person and they let us in, and the songs that reflect that, which are of course usually ballads. But yeah, there's nothing more touching than people sharing their stories like that.
And would you say and I've heard this, this is how I feel, and I've heard a lot of other singers, that it's more important for the performer to touch the audience and make the audience feel something than to necessarily have a perfect instrument. That the feeling is more.
My gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody can sing, Memory from Cats and blow it out the roof, but if somebody doesn't have that inner knowing of what's happening in that person's cat's life, then who cares?
Right.
It's just like dance.
Who cares? Yeah.
When I teach a dance combination, to my high school kids when I was teaching with MTU, they would do the steps. I said, okay, that's great. You got the steps. Now you got to tell me a story. Right. So it's the same thing. It's like, who cares about how many pirouettes you can do if there's not a joy behind it and energy of why you're doing this, the passion that you have.
Yes. I'm going to change the term that he uses, but my partner Eric, when there is somebody up there, a singer who's just doing it for themselves, and he calls it musical self-gratification. He uses a different words, but that's what it is. Words. Yeah. So,
or listen to how pretty my voice is.
Exactly. So, what's on your performing bucket list? What haven't you done or role that you'd really like to do performance wise?
Well, Bonnie, it's I've been thinking about this. I have pretty much checked all the boxes that I wanted to do with my career. I got Broadway. I have done recreation. Been the first national, so I had costumes built on me in Phantom.
Wow!
I finally got to work with Cheetah Rivera. That was my huge goal.
Yeah.
And I had a lead role in Cats, and I did it on Broadway and on tour. And I've done so much. And doing ballroom last year here at the CBREP was such a joy. To have an equity contract, because that's the tough thing here. There's not any really equity contract with CBREP.
Right. I thought you were
Go ahead.
I thought you were one of the highlights of that show, by the way. But go ahead.
That was so sweet what you wrote.
Well, you were. I thought you were.
I've saved it, of course. I put it on my website. So thank you. Well, that was so fun playing the Harry and the Noodle. Yeah. But, if you hear at CBREP, I got to hand it to Ron Salona because, usually the equity houses, which there's only that, and now Desart has equity, and I know
Coyote Stageworks does sometimes, yeah.
But for the rest of it, so when he did ballroom, as opposed to one or two contracts for equity, he had 10.
Yeah, that's a lot,
That was such an honor to be part of it and also to be honored to be union and to work again. Yeah. But at my age, and I'm not, I'd be happy to do some more cabaret shows and just whatever comes along.
All right, well, we're running out of time. So Doug Graham, you got to check Doug Graham out. So check it out. Saturday night, 5 o'clock on Frankie's Old Italian World Bakery on their Facebook page, 5 p.m. live at 5 in the back room. Doug Graham, he's fabulous. Knock 'em dead. I know you're going to do a great show, and keep doing what you're doing. You're an inspiration to all of us. Thanks, Doug. Really appreciate it.
Bye-bye. Thank
all
you.
right. Okay. Have a great day. All right. We're going to be back with much more in the Culture Corner in just a moment.
You're listening to Bonnie Gilgallon and Brayan Mendoza, talking arts and entertainment on iHub Radio's The Culture Corner. Live from the desert cities of Southern California, here's Brayan and Bonnie.
Hey, welcome back to The Culture Corner. On this segment, oh boy, Dr. Oz.
Controversy.
So, Dr. Oz has been, I'm going to say, a very... I'm going to be honest, like someone that I don't really like to watch all that much because I think me and Bonnie had a conversation about this before the show. I just never thought his daytime television show was all that
great to start with.
and I watched a couple of them, and I was surprised that it was nominated for Outstanding Informative Talk Show from the Emmys. And I think that it's just one of those things where I just don't get it. I guess I just don't get it.
Well, let's talk about some of the controversy. We were just talking. First of all, he was somebody that I guess at some point did promote hydrochloroquine as a treatment or cure for COVID, which turned out it was not.
Right.
And I guess there was a coffee bean diet product that he was really gung-ho and didn't work.
It didn't work out. And then he also believes, this might not, some people in our show some audience members may not know exactly what the problem is with the next thing I'm going to say, but he tried to push for a cure for autism. And a lot of people on the autism spectrum, and I'm not on it, but I know several people, they don't actually want the cure for it. They feel like autism isn't something that we should cure. That's something that we need to just adapt to, and it's about accepting. And and he also had a lot of controversy for bringing on a gay conversion therapist on his show.
That's the worst. That's the worst, I think.
And he defended it, saying, you know what? I want to hear different perspectives. While he did say that he doesn't agree with gay conversion therapy, the fact that he had the person on his show, and I personally think when I watched the clips of it, I was like, he doesn't challenge them. Like, he talks about how I want to challenge it, but then
he didn't when he had didn't. Somebody. Yeah,
he didn't. And personally, for me, I'm one of those people that when it comes to stuff like that, if you want to have a conversation, you should also try to challenge the person you're talking to.
Absolutely.
And especially if it's a controversial topic, because like for me, I think it actually shows the best interviews. Like the last 4 years with the last administration, the interviews that people really liked are the ones that were the ones where they were being challenged.
Challenging, yeah.
Like, I mean, to be honest, like the Fox News interview that is famous now was mostly famous because of the phrase man, woman, person on TV. But you see, that's the thing about that is that it proves my point that his type of interviewing isn't exactly for me. But why are we talking about Dr. Oz, you might be saying?
Well, because he is this week and maybe next week, he is the guest host on Jeopardy. And there are a lot of people who are really upset about that because of some of the other controversial things he's done. And to be honest with you, I wasn't going to watch it at all because I was like, I want to watch Jeopardy. So I watched some of it last night and the night before. And to be honest, he's not that great. He's kind of boring as a host, I think.
I was watching it and I couldn't sit through a lot of it. It's just one of those things where I think for the most part, these guest hosts have been pretty good, replace guest hosts. I'm not saying permanent guest hosts, but he is by far the worst one. Yeah. And there is a letter, an actual protest, and it's this open letter by several previous contestants and hosts, and some of these include Ken Jennings, who have actually said, let's boycott this show. And they said that this man's presence on the show is very harmful to them. And they said that Jeopardy is about intelligence and about valuing intellectualism.
And facts.
Yes. And all that. It's also not about being a lead either. Because like some of the stuff on Jeopardy can be like, who is this character slays vampires, and you say who is Buffy.
Some of it's pop culture. It's not all like brain surgery questions. Yeah.
And that's what I loved about Jeopardy is that it was about approachability. Like it's telling you, the audience, like you're smart too for knowing that.
Right.
And because if your answer is on Jeopardy, then you feel intelligent. And a lot of people feel that gets violated when Dr. Oz or someone like him is on there, because they feel like Alex Trebek deserves someone who actually, I think, just does better.
Carries on his legacy. I wonder if Alex Trebek knew Dr. Oz personally and what he would think about him being on
Well,
there.
Dr. Oz did release a statement saying that, and I'm going to quote him.
Okay.
You know, I was so fortunate to become friends with Alex, and I visited him and the show as often as I could. One of my favorite moments was Alex showing me with immense pride a room full of letters and support for him from you, from his fans, and all of his achievements. He was most proud of his connection with you all the time. So that was his like statement, according to the Backlash. And you know, it's nice to hear, I guess, nice little language. But I kind of feel like, again, I'm gonna be with the contestants and the fans on this one. I think that, again, I just don't think it was a good decision. I think that Dr. Oz was, first of all, a really weird decision to make. Like, I feel like there's plenty of people like LeVar Burton, the host of Reading Rainbow, and the star of Roots. He actually was considered the fan favorite.
He would have been, Oh, and also now I think is Anderson Cooper coming on? Is he scheduled to be one?
I think he is going to be scheduled to come on, and then
good. I like him. The other one that I don't think is scheduled, but I think would be fabulous, is Neil deGrasse Tyson.
I think so
I
too.
love him. He would be great.
And you know, now here's another person that I would like to see on Jeopardy. I'll show you her picture. Laura Coates from CNN.
Okay.
She is the legal analyst. She actually was Alex Trebek's pick for his replacement.
Really?
But of course, like, if she doesn't want to do it, she doesn't want to do it.
Yeah,
but she hasn't talked about it. But she is the person that he said he would love to see replace him.
Wow.
And he said this in 2018, and I can see it. I can see that, and I can see LeVar Burton.
Was that the only person Alex mentioned? That you know? Okay.
He said that was the person he would have wanted the most. And there's so many great people that can be on Jeopardy, and it just kind of bewilders me that someone like Dr. Oz was chosen because, again, like you said, there's no charisma.
He doesn't have any charisma. I mean, the thing I like about both Anderson Cooper and LeVar Burton and Neil deGrasse Tyson is all three of them obviously are highly intelligent, highly accomplished at what they do, but they have that friendly, that approachable, that charisma thing. And you need that. You need both of those things.
And it's also about being intelligent in an approachable way.
Exactly.
Like, the fact is that Neil deGrasse Tyson's the type of guy that he will sit with you and talk about something, but he won't try to outsmart you.
And he's funny.
He's funny.
I love that.
And to be honest, like, I guess this is a question I want to ask you. Why do you think Dr. Oz was famous to begin with? Like, I think he's famous for being controversial. I can't think of like a personality quick.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. I don't remember what put him on the map originally. I mean, maybe he was a doctor that looked pretty good on camera and was aggressive and just wanted his own show. Maybe in the beginning he was touting some of these breakthrough things that people thought were going to work. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, and also I think the one thing that made him famous was the fact that he was associated with Oprah for a while.
Yeah, that always helps. That helps you get on the map. But.
Funny enough, like, Oprah, please don't put your doctor friends on the air.
Hey, Neil deGrasse Tyson, I'm going to start a campaign. Neil deGrasse Tyson, that's who we want on Jeopardy.
Or we'll set up for LeVar Burton, too.
LeVar Burton, I like him, too.
Hey, we're going to be back on the Culture Corner just a moment with another great hour of guests and a lot of fun, positive news towards the end.
Yep.
Stay tuned.